Finally, we get to use differentiation to solve some problems, to do something interesting. And I'm going to do an example that's quite close to my heart, and it's about a tin of biscuits. And this is question 7 from mixed exercise in chapter 9, so exercise 9b, question 7. And it's quite a typical problem. For part A, we're asked to find the volume, and to do that, you're going to have to combine some things that you know from GCSE, some things that you know from Core 1, and some new skills from Core 2. So there's a lot to put together, and therefore you will need knowledge and bags of confidence to be able to work through this kind of problem. The good news is that a lot of them tend to be the same, so once you've done a few, you'll have the idea and you'll be quite confident. So let's get started. The question is about this tin here. You should be able to remember from GCSE that the volume of a cylinder is the area of the cross section, which is pi r squared, it's a circle, times the height. So that's a fact that we've got to know. And the question asks us to find the volume in terms of x only. So we've got a problem at the moment in that we've got an r and a h rather than just x. The first problem is easily overcome because actually in this case the radius is x, so the volume is pi x squared h. So that's not too bad. However, this h is still a problem, and this is a very, very common issue with these kind of questions. So next, we're going to try and use the other bit of information in the question to find out what h is. So let's communicate this well and put a little heading. Surface area. This is something else that it tells us in the question. It tells us that the surface area is 80 pi. And it doesn't just do that for fun, it does that so that we can use that information to be able to work towards what it's asked us to do. So, the surface area is 80 pi, and we can also work out what it is from our cylinder. So, let's get started with that. We've got, for the lid, we've got, which we'll do in bread, we've got a circle at the top, pi x squared, and we've got this strip here, which is the diameter, 2x, times pi times 1, because it's 1 deep, so that's the area of the strip there, and then underneath we'll write the surface area in purple of the actual tin itself, the height of the tin which was labelled earlier as h, and this tin itself has got another circle at the bottom, which has got no top bit because you need to be able to put the biscuits in to take them out, and then you've got this curved bit, which is actually a rectangle if you undid it, which is again the diameter times pi times the height this time. So we've got an equation there, and we can rearrange that equation to find h. So let's just tidy it up slightly first. We know that 80 pi is equal to 2 pi x squared. We're adding the pi x squared and the pi x squared together, that one there and that one there, we're adding them together. We've got 2 pi x, we tend to write the pi before the x because it's a constant, and then we've got 2 pi x h at the end. We can then rearrange that to get h equals. So, you might want to take a minute to convince yourself of this, but basically what we're doing is taking everything over to the left-hand side, all the terms that don't involve h anyway, and then we're dividing by the 2 pi x that's in front of the h. So what we've done is use the information about surface area to find h in terms of x, and that's going to help us with what the question actually asked us to do originally. So what we're going to do is going to go back to this bit at the top here, now that we've found h, and we're going to go, right, volume is pi x squared into h, a bit long-winded, is that. Then we're very much looking at what the question says to show so that we end up with the right thing. So, a couple of things that we're going to do. In red here, we're going to cancel the pi's. And then we're also going to cancel the x squared and the x there. So we're left with x outside and then this thing inside. We're going to take the pi out of every term because the question wants us to have pi outside the bracket. So we're going to take that out. And then inside we're going to multiply by this x here. So we're going to end up with 80x minus 2x cubed minus 2x squared all over 2, those brackets, And then our final step then is to actually divide throughout by that 2 and show what the question asks for, which is pi into 40x, halving that one, minus x cubed, halving that term, minus x squared, halving that final term. Part 2 of this then is going to actually be using differentiation. This was simply a case of quite difficult mensuration from GCSE and Core 1, and it follows a similar pattern for most of these differentiation problems.